goalies.com. And I got a great question via email this week from a dad who's a coach in New York. So this is Coach John C. And so I don't. This question caught me off guard. So the first question that I got from was, "Hey, Jonathan, what's the maximum stick length for a women's goalie?" And I had to think about that for a bit because I didn't know off the top of my head. So I looked in the rule book and couldn't find anything about max stick length. Typically, if you've seen a max stick length, I've never had anybody ask me about maximum, like how long a stick could be. So my question back to Coach C here was, how tall is your goalie? That was my first thought. So he wrote back. He goes 5'1". I coach my 13-year-old and the 6th and 8th grade girl goalies. I make them tap the side pipes to position themselves as the play comes to them. This way they don't take their eyes off the ball. I got my daughter a new goalie stick. It was 2 inches shorter and it left her missing the pipes, thus being out of position. In addition, I do teach a half field clear. The extra length comes into play there. So what he means by that is he teaches that he wants his goalies to be able to reach like half field with a pass. So again, I'd figure you would know the max length. We can always cut it back if need be. Okay, so a couple things came to mind when I heard this question. Was one, what are we trying to accomplish? Okay, so what are we trying as goalies? What is our main responsibility? Okay, so our main responsibility is to stop the ball. Okay, our second responsibility is to clear the ball. Okay, this argument has kind of raged for a long time on what's more important, to clear the ball or to stop the ball. Well, if you can't stop the ball goes in the net, the ball is automatically cleared to midfield, okay? And then there's a face-off. So if we can stop more balls and clear the ball, and then clear the ball with our team, whether it's our offensive players or our defensive players or what have you, we need to stop the ball. So let's address the first question, which is, well, actually, I'm going to address the second thing first. So half field clear, okay, with young goalies, all right, what I like to say minimally is that on the run, they can pass the ball beyond the restraining line. So for women's, we're looking at like 25 yards, actually 25 yards upfield, okay? Not the full 40 yards we're going to midfield, okay? Trying to get a full half field clear, even from the crease, like standing still, like you're a quarterback, and you're just bombing it, okay, as far as you can. Half field is pretty aggressive. Now, I understand if your team is weak and you're just trying to get the ball downfield to get the ball somewhere the heck down there so that you're not playing defense the whole game. I get that. I understand that. But I don't want to necessarily lengthen a stick just for that purpose. And here's why. Because when the goalie's in the cage, then that extra length can hurt us when we're moving to the ball, okay? Especially with a goalie who's pretty short, in this case, who's 5'1". Okay, so I'm 5'7.5", 5'8" on a good day. So what are we looking at, like here, this tall? On my goalie sticks, I typically use an attack length shaft. I started doing that really just one at a cost when I was young. I was like, paying that extra, it was a boatload of money to just go like a goalie length shaft. And I was like, why? So I did a half length. Also, I did it because it fit in my bag better when I traveled, when I flew places. But also I was pretty strong. So going with a shorter shaft allowed me, like I was okay. I could huck the ball downfield. I could reach the opposite cage by about my sophomore year of high school. So two things here. One is I don't necessarily want to have a really long shaft just to make it clear because I think it's going to affect me in the cage. But let's address the first question, which was that the coach tells the goalies to touch the pipes in order so that they can keep their eyes on the ball. So basically, if the goalie's in the cage, they're doing one of these, right? They're in their stance and they're reaching back to touch the pipe so that they can keep their eyes on the field. I totally get that. I think that's a good goal to have. We want to have our goalies upfield, and we want them, if they're going to touch the pipe, they're going to reach, but their vision is up there. They're not looking back to wonder where the pipe is. That's fine. But there's two ways to do this. One is, I'm on a wide angle lens, so I'm going to get really close here. So if the wall here is my goal line, and I take a step out and I reach back with an attack length shaft, I'm not feeling that pipe. Okay. If I take a half step, I've got it. Okay. So the question is this: if I take 2 inches off this shaft, and now I'm not touching this pipe here, I'm taking an inch back into the cage, only an inch, to be able to reach that pipe. Okay, so the step we're making away from the goal line is not a big one. I'm not losing a bit from, now the wide angle lens is going to actually make this look even more more crazy, but as taking an inch step back to be able to touch that pipe is not that big of a deal. Okay, so that being in mind, the other thing is this: is if I'm a goalie and I'm way out, I'm 2 steps out, I'm not feeling anything, right? So as a goalie, it's a couple things. If we start in the cage, okay, and we're touching the pipe, and we step off of goal line extended, all right. Proprioceptively, okay, that's a big word, so go look it up, okay? My hands and my shoulders are really feeling the difference. They're telling me how far away from the cage I am, and I'm not paying attention to my feet, okay? So what I like goalies to do is I like goalies to be back, touching the pipe, okay? But then when they step away from the cage, they do so without the stick touching the pipe as they do it. Does that make sense? All right. So instead of being in this position and stepping out into position, okay, what I like goalies to do is they can feel the pipe to know if they're centered. Okay, so they're going to touch right pipe, left pipe. They know they're centered. All right. Now they're in position. Now they step out. So what that's done is now my feet and my hips have gotten used to just how far I need to go, as well as where I need to go. So if the ball's coming, side left, and I'm gonna step out here, okay, I'm now learning. My feet are telling me and my hips are telling me how far I need to go. My eyes are up, my head's up, I can see what's going on. But instead of using my stick as like a feeler, okay, I'm using my legs to tell me where to go. Okay, so now as you're young and you're learning about where your angles are, okay, and where you need to step to, right? That's why we have a coach shooting us at angles in warm-up, so that we know the coach, if we go out to like, let's say the camera and you're shooting at me from side right, okay, so I'm in my cage and I come out to you, but now I'm off center. What does coach tell you? Hey, move over. So now you readjust, okay, and now what I recommend, a lot of times a coach will just shoot right there. One of the things you can do to reinforce it is you say, okay, goalie, start in the middle of the cage. Okay, start in the middle of the cage on every shot. Every shot. Now, you're looking up field straight. Shot's coming from side right. We're going to step out, right? And hopefully we're in good position. All right. So, and the coach is going to adjust the goalie every time you step. Another interesting way to do this, okay, this is better done in a gym, or if you're on an AstroTurf field or a synthetic turf field, this works too. But if you take hockey pucks, okay, because they're flat and round and only about that high, okay, and put them in proper position for certain shots. So top center, you put 2 pucks where the feet would be, okay. And what we're going to do as we step out to the puck is, again, eyes are up, looking out. All right, we're going to put 2 pucks down under our feet. So we're going to stand in the right position, okay? Stand in the correct position for a shot coming straight at you. Stand in position. Now, take 2 hockey pucks, lift your toes up so that they're up like this. Put the hockey puck under your feet so that your feet are now standing on the pucks, all right? Now what I want you to do is step back to the goal line, all right? Get in position, all right? Now, look left, look right, just get a little bit of a reset going. Now step out to those pucks. And if you step properly, you're now on top of those pucks, And if you're not off balance, your foot's gonna either rock right or rock left, okay? So that's a good little technique, a good little drill to do. And you can do that, you can make an arc like that so that a goalie knows where to put their feet, all right? Just to get the basics down, all right? You'll have a lot of pucks for that. I can't remember how many it is offhand. I'll have to figure that out for you guys. All right, so let's see. There's one on the post, one on my left foot, and then I'm gonna go, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 pucks or so, okay, to get to know where your feet need to go, okay, so that you know where your arc is and you're not too high, too low. Because if you step too far out, your foot's gonna rock on the front of the puck. If you step too far to the left or the right, it's gonna rock right or left. And conversely, if you're too shallow, okay, so that's a good drill, the hockey puck drill. So back to Coach C's question here, okay? So for a goalie that's 5'1", what the heck was that? I got a moth in here, sorry. So for a goalie who's 5'1", pretty short, I'm not going too long with a shaft, all right? So asking max length, I'm like, holy smokes, what are they thinking, right? Because when that goalie goes to step to the ball, all right, that butt end may catch on a knee, on the ground, all sorts of things. Also, you got to be pretty strong to operate a stick that is this long to begin with. Okay, to get proper cradling, to have a good pocket in there. So I don't know if I would necessarily add length to a stick because again, what's the goal? If we're just trying to get a clear going, then I'd rather either shallow up the pocket a little bit, teach my goalie, because most female goalies that I've seen, and no offense, but your goalie may be a stud or studette, all right, but I have yet to see a female goalie who on the run can huck the ball half field at 13. That's a hell of a throw, okay? So with any accuracy, let's put it that way too. Now, a goalie from here, with all days thrown from the crease, sure, probably can make that. So anyway, let's not lengthen the shaft just to get that goal down. I'd rather say, okay, let's leave the stick where it is. Let's teach maybe some better ways to work around the crease. All right, to know where the goalie is within the crease or being lined up for a shot. Let's use the feet more as a gauge to tell us where we are. Okay, so instead of just reaching with the butt end, if you're coming off the pipe, okay, the right foot is going to be on the right side pipe, left foot on the left pipe, and a great way to make the most out of warm up is to take 5 minutes, okay, and instead of have the goalie getting shot on from here and you work in an arc, let's have you here, okay. Well, it's funny, my hand gets really big on this wide angle. Sorry, my hands aren't really that big. All right, so let's say you're going to shoot from there. Let's have the goalie start on a pipe, all right, and then step out to you. Because now she's stepping out to the center, top center, all right. Now if you're a little bit, if you're top left, now she's coming from the right pipe, she's going to step out. And at that point, you're going to say, hey, you're a little right, you're a little left. And then she's going to reset, and then she's going to come out and be a little bit more in the right position. Hope that makes sense, okay? So there's lots of ways to teach where the goalie is in the cage. And again, don't make shortcuts in lieu of, I would say, not proper learning. That's not what I've got in mind here. But, by lengthening the shaft, that's a shortcut, okay? I'd rather spend a little bit more time with our goalies and say, okay, listen, tonight I want you to step. I want you to imagine there's a shot here, and out you go. Okay. So yeah, let's leave it at that for now because that's a lot to digest. If you got any questions on that, please feel free to email me or shoot a comment below the video. I think that should help a little bit. All right. And again, let's not make short-term fixes for goalies who are probably going to grow potentially a little bit because we may be creating bad habits down the road. We want to break a goalie eventually of feeling for the pipes with the butt end too much. There's always going to be a little bit, all right? There's going to be a little bit, but we don't want goalies to be in position and every time they step, they're touching, okay? Really, a goalie should be able to get out and then be moving and stepping right, left, wherever they need without feeling for the pipes all the time, okay? That's super important. All right, because as the game speeds up for that goalie, that habit is going to catch up to them down the road. Okay, so thanks for your question, Coach C. Good luck with it. Keep me posted on how it goes, and good luck to your daughter. And anybody else who's watching this who's got a question, feel free to email me at jonathan@lacrossegoalietips.com. Cheers.